A longtime Department of Corrections employee left her career now that biological men are allowed in Minnesota's only prison for women. Why she says the new trans policy is putting corrections staff and inmates at risk. Next. Alicia Beckman recently left her job after more than a decade at the Minnesota Department of Corrections. She's brave enough to talk about all of this today with us. But Alicia, thank you for joining me. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Liz.
The only women's prison in Minnesota is located in Shakopee. You were a GED instructor there, I know, inside that prison. You worked full time, Monday through Friday. Explain your job just a bit more and what kept you going in each and every day to work with these women.
So, as a GED teacher, I help the women at Shakopee get their GED or high school equivalency. I taught math primarily, but the other subjects were social studies, science, and reading. I spent 6 hours a day with the women, like you said, Monday through Friday. So a lot of one-on-one tutoring, classroom instruction, things you would typically see in a adult basic education classroom in the community.
And you felt passionate about this work.
Yeah, and that's what kept me going is the passion for this job. I was very dedicated to the women of Shakopee, to my students. I know that education helps reduce recidivism, and I really just wanted a brighter future for these women.
So then it's this trans inmate issue that seems to almost be forced on Shakopee in a way in the wake of the Christina Lusk case from a couple of years ago when Lusk sued the state of Minnesota to allow him bottom surgery and to move to Shakopee. Now, I know there are a lot more male inmates there, at least 4 men, according to online records. What type of prison environment has this created?
It's created an unsafe environment, I believe. We are a very gender responsive facility. We are taught that women are biologically different than men. We have curriculum specific for women, and so the environment has shifted drastically. I know that a lot of the incarcerated women do not feel comfortable in their living unit. They don't feel comfortable walking about the property. They were uncomfortable in my classroom, and so I think it has just created a lot of risk, a lot of unknown, confusion, frustration, anger. It just has a vibe that doesn't sit right with a lot of us who work at Shakopee because we are a women's correctional facility.
So in April this year, this trans inmate policy was put in place. It's 10 pages long. Management and placement of incarcerated people who are transgender, gender diverse, intersex, or non-binary. Just reading from the document there. What did you think of that policy, Alicia, when it was first issued?
It was really confusing to a lot of us. Sometimes policies are sent out without any warning, any conversations, any training. They just appear. I believe we had our first male transferred into the facility before the policy came out. And so reading the policy and trying to understand what it means, it's very vague, it's very ambiguous, and I think it allows for a lot of loopholes.
The policy says that safety is an important factor, kind of reiterates that again and again before allowing a transfer to the prison. But let's just talk about a few of these inmates in Shakopee. There's Bradley Servio. He's a convicted murderer. Sean Windingland and Elijah Berryman, who sexually abused children. They're all around women now. Do you believe it is safe to move these men into an all-women's prison?
I do not, Liz. We house every custody level. So we have what would be considered low-level offenders who are there on DWI charges, theft charges, drug possession. And then you bring in biological males who are violent, who would be housed at a custody level 4 facility. And I just believe we're re-victimizing some of these women, re-traumatizing them. You know, they are incarcerated. However, they all have a past, and a lot of their past includes physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. And so I think allowing men to live amongst these women is traumatizing. And it's also unsafe for staff. I don't believe we've been properly trained. Yes, a lot of correctional officers and a lot of staff have worked at other facilities, at men's facilities. However, I don't believe Shakopee is set up to have biological male in a women's facility.
Why is it then that you think so many people are afraid to speak out? Talk more about that, what staff and inmates have expressed to you.
It's a very chain of command agency. It's more like a directive. This is what's happening. Like it or leave it. And so we just fear saying anything. I've been away from the DOC now for a few months, and I still fear any kind of retaliation from the agency for speaking out. And I'm speaking out for these women who deserve a chance to be rehabilitated and return to society. And I just don't think the way they're doing it is appropriate.
Alpha News reached out to the Department of Corrections for a comment on this policy to ask why it was necessary, if it really even is safe. If we receive a response, we will be sure to publish it. But in the meantime, why did you then decide to leave earlier this summer, a job that you clearly loved for so long?
Yeah, Liz, it was a really tough decision. I had planned to retire from Shakopee. I enjoy teaching. I have a passion for it. I believe I have a gift for it. But I felt like if I couldn't be part of the solution there, I was not going to be part of the problem. And I hope that by leaving the Department of Corrections, I can be a voice for the women there and for the staff there who fear speaking out.
Alicia Beckman, we thank you for your courage and for bringing this to light.
Thank you, Liz.
That'll do it for this episode of Liz Collin Reports. We'll see you next time.